Now then guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, a few people have messaged and asked me about the spec of the Ford Focus. So I thought I'd take 10 minutes just to tell you what spec it is and what it is and what engine it's got in it and all that sort of kind of stuff, because I think you guys wanted it because I've been asked for it, so I'm going to show you it. So yeah, here she is. Guys, so I'm pretty much just going to go from back to front. I think that's going to be the easiest way of doing it at the minute. I'll just try and show you and tell you as much as I possibly can. I'm not going to be able to go into detail videos with everything because some of it's hidden, but yeah, so we'll start off with the back. Obviously it is a Ford Focus estate. Started life as a normal daily for me, completely standard. Bought it completely standard, and I started doing it up, started modifying it, started going to like some car meets, car shows, blah blah blah, and then I was on the way to one car meet with a few mates and ended up crashing it into the back of someone. So I bent the chassis legs. But yeah, that's another story. Ended up buying it back off the insurance because they wrote it off. Decided to fix it because it was either fix it and keep it and keep doing what I'm doing with it, or scrap it because it bent the chassis legs. So yeah, ended up fixing it and it's turned into what it is now. So from the back, first off we'll start off with the mark. So Volkswagen Scirocco rear spoiler, trimmed down to fit. I got it off a mate because unfortunately again he crashed his car, someone crashed into him and he ended up breaking his car, and he had that spoiler and he said, do you want it? I was just like, yeah, it's carbon fibre, it's light as hell. I just had to trim it down a little bit to fit my boot, and there she sits. Perspex rear window. Again, they don't make them for the Ford Focus estate, so I had to make that myself out of just a sheet of Perspex, and then I just bolted it all the way around. Excuse the dust, it's a bit dusty. But yeah, bolted all the way around. It was a bugger to bend, and just painted the inside to make it look almost OEM. Obviously pretty much a standard boot. Chopped out in the middle. I still had to have a play with all these wires. There's quite a lot of wires I can chop out to save some more weight if I wanted to, but that's complete chopped out. That's my reg. Short story on that is I got it off my granddad. It was on his car, and because it had sort of like the similar kind of initials as me, AJ Howe sort of thing, he gave it to me in his will, bless him. So yeah, that's that. Pretty much a standard bumper here, and then I've chopped it there just to fit the diffuser. There's my rain light, I always need that for racing, and then my diffuser, which I'll get on my knees for this one. As you can see, nicely built. Thank you to Fiore Auto Works for that one. While I'm down here, I might as well try and show you the flat floor. And if you can see that, probably a piss poor camera angle. But yeah, flat floor is on there. So okay, moving down to the side, I fitted some RS rear arches, Mark 1 Focus RS rear arches. Again, they were a bit of a pig to fit. I had to kind of, because they're fiberglass, they're not really made for an estate in the first place, and not made for a rear door, so there's quite a lot of chopping and fixing and all that involved. But again, it's been on there for a while. My rear doors are welded shut. They're still doors. The reason why I've kept them as doors is because I want to keep the estate look. I could turn it into a van. I could fill these panels in, but then I'd still be left with this, obviously. And I don't want that. So yeah, I think it looks great as an estate. I don't want it as a van. They look great as a van. I've seen a couple around, but I want an estate. So because the doors are welded shut, and because I had to fiberglass here, this is actually pinstripe to make it look like a door. Because I'm never planning on opening the door. There's a roll cage in the back anyway, so you don't need to open the door anyway. So yep, that's welded shut. That's not going anywhere. Again, Perspex window. There's 4mm polycarbonate stuff off eBay, because again they don't do the estate because the hatches they come down a little bit, and obviously I'd be left with a gap there, so that's no good. At the minute I've got just standard rear brakes, rear calipers, rear pads. There's not a lot fancy going on about that. Inside the hub, so behind the hub rather, I've got like a hub spacer, so it's like a spacer that sits after the hub, a little bit safer, just so the wheels stick out a little bit more for the RS arches. So that's all good. Speaking of wheels and suspension, don't know if you can tell, the light's probably poor, but I've got a completely new rear suspension setup. Again, apologies for the dirt. I've been racing it and it's got wet and groggy and dusty and muddy and all that, so it gets used. It's no show car. But yeah, they're gas coilovers at the back, so now I've got a proper coilover rather than just a spring and a shock. That has honestly made the world of difference at the back. The back end now just feels solid, and I've got the adjustability there as well for it. Wheels wise, they are Team Dynamics 1.2s. I've also got a wet set of 1.2s and a slick set of Pro Race 3s, I think they are. Just so I can swap tyres and wheels dead easily on the weather if it's raining or whatever. So side skirt is a EGR model from a Ford Focus. Again, it's off a hatchback, but they're all the same wheelbase, so that fits nicely here. This lower one is actually off a GT Mustang. Again, the wheelbase is exactly the same as a GT Mustang. So that again just bolted straight onto the bottom of this one. That is purely just there for looks, nothing more. Obviously we've got the series that I'm going in, Modified Ford Series. My sponsors this year, Fiore Auto Works, who have done a fucking amazing job of the car so far. I don't even think they've got started yet. Solo Motorsport, not seen much of him this year, but he will be coming to a few races hopefully and helping me out with like Geo and bits and bobs that I need around the car and checking if the car's alright and all that, so that's nice of him. Orange Army, got to respect them. This is another series sponsor, Scale Electrics. Woody's Haulage, who I work for, he's giving some money for tyres and whatnot. Certified, they're on Facebook, Instagram. You want to check them out, they're all cool. We've got some wicked cars in there. TRS Performance, they are the guys, or guy who has mapped my car and took it to its, where it is now. So it's 320 brake and 404 Newton meters of torque. So she's pretty pushy. I'll talk about the engine more in a minute. BRSCC is just a company that like helps with all the racing and stuff. Neo Tyre, he's giving me discounts on tyres and whatnot for the year for the daily and other bits like that. So yeah, he's helping out a little bit. He's a top lad. He lives local to me, and yeah, again, if you call him, he's there. He's really reliable. He's a good lad. So there's all the sponsors on the side. Again, TRS on there. Same wheels at the front, obviously, depending on the weather. I've got they are Mark 1 RS calipers. They're also Fiat Coupe calipers. They're all the same. So a slight difference on the back, but pretty much all the same. With some Raylan discs. Obviously you can tell they've been battered a little bit, but that's what they're there for. I have got Raylan big brake kit coming at the back for this. It's just a slightly bigger disc, basically, with a bigger bracket. So that's coming. I'll have to show you that, and I'll probably end up showing you how to fit it and whatnot. But yeah, that's coming for that one. But the front brakes are absolutely fucking amazing. I've got PBS Pro Race pads, and honestly, car feels fucking sick to stop. So yeah, coming onto the front again, obviously I've got the front RS arches, again they're fiberglass, nice and light, they're replaceable if and when I do crash. Hopefully I don't crash, but again, they're a lot cheaper than the actual RS arch, so that's nice, and they still look good. So coming around to the front then, I think the only thing that's standard on this car is the windshield. Everything else I think I've changed. I don't think there's anything else that's standard on it. Standard as in when I bought it. So yeah, anyway. So my front wiper, single wiper conversion, is actually off a Mark III Mondeo. It's the rear motor wiper, and then obviously a wiper that fits just perfectly for the sun strip. Again, it was just a case of making a little tiny bracket to centre it in the middle, and then I wired these motor wires to the original Ford Focus switch on the cowl, so that was quite an easy job. This here is for electrical cut-off switch, and that's for my fire extinguisher, which I'll show you in a second once I go in the interior. Basically, if I had a crash or anything like that on track and I was unconscious and the car was on fire, this is really worst case scenario. The marshals could come over, completely shut off everything and pull the cord without having to fiddle about going inside or anything like that. Okay, so moving on a little bit more. It's a carbon fibre bonnet with some fake carbon fibre vents. They're only a tenner off eBay, but I say I did it more for functionality over form. So yeah, that's that. Not really much to say. Again, I've got my sponsors on the bonnet there, and the series, and then people who I know. Yeah, that's pretty much the front. Oh yeah, the bumper, of course. So the bumper is a Luna. It's called a Luna Wide for the Ford Focus estate people that seem to like it. So Luna Wide, I got it off a mate. He wanted my collection bumper and some cash. My previous bumper basically, and I couldn't say no to it because it was a perfect fit for the arches as well as the the looks. It looks pretty good, and I've got a nice wide open bit for my intake and whatnot. I'll go into that a little bit more in a second. They used to have fog lights, obviously. I don't have fog lights or anything like that, so I've just blanked them off. Again, that's a little bit for aerodynamics. The canards are there not only for looks, but to keep the air going past the wheel. Andy from Fury Auto Works knows the business a lot better than me, but basically he says you want to try and evacuate the air away from the wheels as much as you can. The canards will do that. Same with the splitter. The splitter is just 12mm ply. 12mm ply. A lot of people laugh at me about that, but if you look at BTCC guys and all that kind of racing series, they all use kind of buffalo ply or plywood or anything like that, because it's all well and good having a nice flashy carbon fibre splitter, and you can get them, and probably will make one at some point one day, but if you smash it off a curb you'll end up crying. You smash that off a curb, it doesn't really matter. You can go to the local hardware store, get a jigsaw, cut it out, paint it in black, and you've got another splitter again for 20 quid. So that's the reason why it's plywood. The flat floor is Dibond, it's like aluminium-y, plasticky kind of stuff, so yeah, that's all good. So I think now, the headlights are just SC170 Xenons, just wrapped, as well as the full car is wrapped. The only thing that's not wrapped is the bonnet. Got fake wrap for the carbon fibre wrap for the roof. Again, it looks fucking minging, but it does look alright in the sun. I'll try and get it, where is the sun? I'll try and get it shimmering for you. You see it? Shimmering? But yeah, okay. So that's that. So yeah, I guess I'll show you the elephant in the room. So this is what most people have been asking me about, is the engine. Is the wind going to take the piss out of me? No. Okay. Cool, so the engine is a 1.6 turboed engine out of a ST180, a Fiesta ST180, 2016 Fiesta ST180. Currently it is running 320 horsepower on like a medium boost setting. I could go high boost, but it's still got standard internals. Obviously I don't want to push them because it sees redline all of its life. So yeah, that's that. The bolt-ons, see the wind's playing me. 1 minute, I'll take the bonnet off. Yeah, I'm sure the wind takes a piss at me. Bonnet is off, engine is here. So the bolt-ons include a X57R turbo. You can't see it, it's full of heat shield. All the big boost pipes, alloy pipes, suited to fit the Mark 1 Focus. Intercooler. The intercooler on it is a Mark 1 Focus RS intercooler. I think it's a stage 2 or something. But it's good up to about 500 brake, so they say. I've got upgraded injectors, 30% injectors. I think they're off a Jag V8 or something like that, which is all good. That's just to help the fuel with the extra power and air. AirTech, intake pipe. Just my own little custom silicone joiny thing. 80mm MAF. That's just another eBay thing that they sell them on eBay for like 70 quid, I think. I think the standard MAF's 60mm or something like that. New ECU. It's a standard ECU, but it's been chopped down. I think there's only a few wires, literally, for the dash, the revs, the throttle pedal, and ignition. I think that's pretty much it to make the swap possible to make the car run. Fury Auto Works again. He's made some catch cans for us. One on this side and then one on this side. So that's all good. Obviously I've had to blanket here just for that. Coolant wise, it's pretty much just a Mark 1 Ford Focus coolant system. All the same pipes, literally all the same pipes from a Mark 1 Focus to a Mark 7 Fiesta. Just literally plumbed up to the Fiesta and it worked straight away, sort of thing, so that was nice. No airlocks or anything like that, so that was easy. Standard intake. Apparently there's things you can do to them, but I think like you can get alloy ones, like on the Mark 2S Focuses and stuff like that. You can get plenums. You can buy something similar, but apparently it's not worth it because you don't get enough gain or something or other. The engine mount is an ST170 engine mount bolted to an ST180 engine adapter, which is standard on the ST180. That's fine, you don't have to do anything. The only thing I did, if you keen eye viewers will know, this mount is a Vibrotechnics mount that's turned upside down and then basically turned upside down, rethreaded here, so it bolts straight up because it was better for the ST180 engine. That was a dead easy mod. Again, with this side, it's an ST170 Vibrotechnics gearbox mount to a Mark 3 Focus ST line gearbox adapter to an ST180 gearbox. Sounds confusing, but honestly that was dead easy. Literally bolts to the ST1 box and then the Mark 3 Focus adapter fits onto the Mark 1 Focus plate. I'm probably not explaining it very well, but it's quite easy. If you want to check it out, check out my build thread on Facebook or Instagram, and it's literally all there. And if you still can't find it, just give us a message on whichever, or comment on YouTube. But yeah, fuel system is inside the car. So it's a standard tank with a Walbra 255 pump, lift pump, and it goes to a swirl pot system which is external to the tank, which has got a Bosch 044 pump which forces the pressure through to here, which is a fuel pressure regulator which is set at 4.5 bar on idle, which then goes into the rail, which requires amazing amounts of pressure. I don't actually know what it is, but it's quite a lot. But yeah, the initial thing, it only needs 4.5 bar, and then once you rev it, it should go to about 5.5 bar, 6 bar tops. Again, you'll need that, otherwise the car will run out of fuel. The ECU needs a certain amount of fuel, and you've got to give it, or otherwise it will lean out or run out of fuel, which I've had problems with in the past, but now fixed. So yeah, that's inside the car. That's the fuel system pretty much. What else have we got? Got a Derenza 45mm radiator. Again, you can't see it. see it there maybe. With a big old fan just there. These lines here are off the turbo. So the turbo is oil and coolant fed and coolant cooled. And I noticed when I first got the turbo and got it mapped to, I think it was 290 brake at first, we did a few pulls, and within a few pulls it was literally overheating. It was getting to like 110 degrees, which for a race car is shit, because you need it to last 15 minutes. So I spoke to my mate Mark, who helped me with the car, Mark Rogers, and he suggested an oil cooler, but use it as a coolant cooler, if that makes sense. So I've just got a normal generic oil cooler and plumbed it into my turbo. So before, the turbo coolant coming straight from the turbo was going straight back into the expansion tank, which was then feeding into the engine, which overall was making my engine overheat, because the hot water was going from the tank straight back into the engine, and you know, it was too hot. My radiator that was on it wasn't like good enough to cool it down quick enough. So I added this little another little rad basically, and it's helped no end. I think the highest temperatures get now after a 15-minute race are like 90 on a hot day, so yeah, it's pretty incredible. So yeah, that's that. Again, I've got an oil cooler this side. The duct for it is, you know, all in there. It's dead easy. Basically it ducts to, you can't see, but it ducts to that, and then on the oil cooler as well, because at Brands Hatch I had a little problem with it overheating. I think it got to 125 degrees, which is touch and go, a bit hot. So I've added a duct that goes straight to it now, and a fan, and I don't know what it's like yet, but on the road testing it seems to cool it down quite well. But again, it's always different when it's racing. So I guess that's the engine, guys. 320 brake, 404 newton meters of torque. Oh yeah, of course I didn't say that. So it's an ST180 box gearbox. Inside there is a standard internals, but I've got a gripper diff. Gripper diff just helps massively with cornering and stuff like that, so that's awesome. They are standard, I repeat, standard ST180 mounts, which bolt straight into the ST170 hubs that are in there. The ST170 hubs have exactly the same splines, both passenger and driver side, as the ST170 hubs, and the same length. So that was the easiest thing about the thing, because I thought I was going to have to make engine mounts, I thought I was going to have to make drive shafts, everything for this car, but it literally just bolts straight on. It's the same story obviously with the driver's side, you can't see because it's all the way down there, but it bolted straight up, and it's been absolutely fine since. On the gearbox I've got a short shifter. All the Fiesta ST180 boys will know that you either have a cooler works or you have this little kind of cheap bolt-on mod. Honestly, I love the standard shifter. I'll show you again when we get in the interior, but I love the standard shifter. It's fantastic. It feels so smooth. It's dead easy to lob in gear. I've heard the cooler works ones, even though they look cool, they can have problems with being a bit too clunky, or they snap, or you know, stuff like there's little bits that snap in them or something like that. But anyway, she's fine. I've had no problems at all with the little cheap short shifter and the obviously standard gear linkages and shifter, so that's all good. I think that's pretty much it for the engine side of things. Don't think there's much else. Oh, I've got a baffled sump, but that's kind of by the by. Everyone needs one of them when they're racing, because it's all good. But yeah, so I'll go into the interior now, which is here. Okay, so interior wise, we have a Sparco Grid Q seat, FIA approved, with Sparco 4-point harnesses, again FIA approved. That's the seat. So we sit down in there and show you around a little bit more. Okay, I'm in. I'll close the door so it's not windy. Yeah, inside my Ford Focus, I guess. Hello. So there's the swirl tank. Obviously, I've got it hidden by a box. because FIA regulations, MSA regulations state that you need a firewall between the driver and the fuel, which is fair enough, makes sense, because if that blows up I wouldn't want it in my face, not a chance, sunshine. So that's there for that, and that only, pretty much. The harnesses are there at the minute, I've not got them in properly, but yeah, if I do have a passenger, I mean, I'd take them out for racing because weight saving and all that. But when I do have a passenger, obviously I've got a harness bar and the seat sits here. I've got a PC 680, I think they're called. Battery with just a holder. Obviously that's to secure. A 2000 Fire Marshal Lifeline tank, 4 litre, big old boy, nice and heavy. But regulations this year have changed, so you need a plumbed in fire extinguisher. Again, it's not a bad thing. It's something that I don't mind having lumping around in my cab, because at the end of the day, this is my pride and joy, even though it looks rough as fuck. And it needs to, if it's going to catch on fire, that is going to give me the best chance of keeping it safe. So that's a good thing. Safety devices, roll cage. Oh yeah, I'll show you the plumbed up thing. So I've got one here, just about to see it. One there pointing down to the fuel, another one there pointing down to the fuel, and another one here pointing at me. So basically that is there. So if I pull this, say if I have a crash or whatever, or if I see smoke coming out the back and you can see flames, this here is the pins in at the minute, but if you pull it, all this system will go off. Again, I've got 4 more in the engine bay. I didn't show you, but I can show you if you wanted. Just dotted around. So one's pointing at the gearbox, one's pointing at the turbo, one's pointing at the fuel lines, and then another one's pointing at the overall engine bay sort of thing. So again, if I did see anything sketchy or smell or hear or anything, I just pull that and everything goes off. I will get wet, I will get full of foam, but at the end of the day, I can have a shower and it's fine. I'd rather have a shower than my car be up in flames. The front half of the cage is made by Furiosa Works, welded in rather. Did this one recently. As you know in my last video, this one had to be doing quick time because the scrutineers failed me on a door bar, even though it's optional. I did want one in the first place, but it's the fact that the guy was just being a bit of a job's worth. I know they've got a job to do, but he was being a bit tight. Because at Silverstone, I was absolutely fine. It was fine. But at Brands Hatch, when I went, they wanted to see a door bar. So luckily, around the corner, there was a person that was doing, they had spare bits. I think his name was HT at literally across the road from Brands Hatch. So I did that just for that race. Quick job, but honestly, it's welded in. It's fine. The scrutineers passed it, so that's all good. Just done the passenger side a couple of days ago, door bar wise. So yeah, it's good. She's fully ready to go now, sort of thing. So yeah, the fuel lines, as you can tell, they go into the fuel over there, into the engine. So I think that's the feed and that's the return, because it's a return system, deadhead system or something or other like that. Handbrake, completely pointless, not attached. The only reason I don't have it, well, I do have it attached for MOTs and stuff like that, but the only reason I don't have it attached for racing is because even though the handbrake's off, I still, after a good 15-20 minute session, the rear brakes still feel like they're binding, so I completely removed the, because they get hot, everything starts to get a bit funky, so I've completely removed the cables at the back, so I don't really have that chance, and it doesn't bind anymore, which is good, that works. This here is my tablet mount, welded to the car, solid, ain't going anywhere. Not allowed tablets whilst racing, but track days and that, obviously you can. So I have it there just for a little bit of extra information, or stuff like that. Basically, these are my switches. Pretty obvious. So I've got fuel pump. So if I flick that, fuel pump comes on. The fan, obviously that's for the front fan. Rain light, that's for the rain light at the back that I said before. This switch here is for the demister. So you can see I've got a T7 design demister / heater. So when I turn that on, It comes on, it gets warm from the coolant from the engine, so obviously it's coolant fed, so it does get hot in here in the winter. Well, if I've got it on, and it's great at demisting. I've got all the pipes at the minute pretty much pointing at the window, because you know, if it's raining, this car does fog up really quickly because of no aircon or, you know, heaters or anything like that. So that is so worth the money, and it's not even that heavy. I think it was like 1 kilogram, so it's not even that bad. Standard light switch for all the lights around, because I've still got this standard ECU in here for lights basically. I need to sort that out. As I say, I've got a lot of wires I can gut, probably save myself another 5 or 6 kilos. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but trust me, when you get into this level of stripping, it is. My dash is a Syncotech, just like a digital dash sort of thing. I've just mounted it to the cowl, and it's Bluetooth fed, which is behind here. I've got like a little module that Bluetooth feeds all this information here. So I've got revs, miles an hour, that's the time, oil temperature, coolant temperature, voltage, and I still need to put in oil pressure and air fuel ratio, but that's something else I can do. I can swap the dash saying here. I know that's the colour. Let me get it back to normal. Hang on. I think that one. So yeah, I can change this bit here. So it says oil temperature at the minute. I've got the oil temperature on there because obviously I need to see it whilst I'm going around. I can just about see coolant temp. Coolant temp's nothing I need to worry about at the minute because it's dead easy and it's, you know, it's fine. So yeah, I can change that if I wanted to these settings. So that's the exhaust gas temperature. Obviously it's not on because the car's not on. AFR, I need to plug that in. Volt obviously is there, same as there. That's the date. RPM, obviously the car's not turned on, so it's 0. Oil pressure, again I need to put that in. That's no biggie. Boost, obviously that's boost there. I don't really need to see that. Water temperature's already up there anyway. And back to oil temperature. So yeah, it's a good bit of kit. I think it cost me 300 quid. And it tells me everything I need to know for track. Everything useful. So that's all good. The only thing it doesn't do is lap times, but I'm not really bothered. Brake system wise, I redid my whole brake system to the inside of the car now. Starts through there from the master cylinder, comes through here, tees into 1, which then goes into a bias valve, which is good. I've only just recently fit that because at Silverstone, I don't know if you remember seeing my video, but I locked up on a few corners there. And I think that's one of the reasons why I spun out on the first or second lap, I think it was. I was locked up and my back brakes just locked up, and that was it. I couldn't control it. So I fitted the bias valve. Not really had a good chance to use it because Brands Hatch, I wasn't using my full brakes anyway. So yeah, still need to use that on a long fast track. As you see, it goes all the way back there and then tees into the rear brakes, right and left. So that's that. Steering wheel wise, it's a Momo steering wheel. Don't actually know what make it is. That button there is for the horn. I want to wire this button in here for flashy lights, so people get out of the way, sort of thing. And then that there is the starter motor. I could do it actually. The ignition's not on, so. But yeah, that's the starter. That's all good. That's pretty much it, I think, for the interior. Oh yeah, standard. Oh yeah, it's an ST180 accelerator pedal, because it's obviously a fly-by wire, so I need to connect that to the throttle body that's inside. The ST170 or the Z-Tex that came with the car only have like a throttle cable, so obviously I couldn't use that. But the brake pedal and the clutch are ST170 because they still use the original lines of the car, which is all good. Interior wise, I think that's pretty much it. There's not much else to show you really, if I'm honest with you. Just, it is what it is. Oh yeah, fuel gauge is there. So when I'm driving I can just about see the fuel. It's not a biggie, but obviously you still need to keep on top of it. Because we're going around track, I believe, well I know, if I fill it up with half a tank, which is race fuel for me, I fill it with half a tank. By the end of the race, 15 minutes worth of racing, it will go down a quarter of a tank. So yeah, it's definitely a necessity to see that, but as long as I've got half a tank it should last 15 minutes, no problem, unless I've got a leak. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up this video. Oh, how could I forget? My little man. You'll see him in every single video when I'm on track. He's my little G meter. So yeah, when I'm on track and you see, because I put my camera there, usually you see the little mountain of the cage. You'll see him in the corner of my screen, just basically flying around and having the fucking time of his life. But basically it's a G meter, because when you see him fucking yeeting to the window, I'm really hard turning up the right, yeeting to my side, hard turning left, and so on. But yeah, okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to ramble on too much because I don't want to waste your day, but yeah, just a completely stripped out interior. The only thing that's weighing it down now is wires. I can't change any more than that. It's just wiring from the original loom. I could potentially get rid of, but if I'm honest with you, it's negligible. You know, I could have a packet of crisps and ruin my weight compared to that. So I want to get rid of it just for neatness, but at the same time, it's not a necessity. But yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. So yeah, hope this was a good video for you. If you want to know any more information that I've probably missed out, just slide down in the comments and I shall answer your questions. But seriously, I am really surprised that no one else has done this swap, because it is literally made for it. The engine mounts from an ST170 fit on an ST180 engine. The drive shafts from an ST180 fit into ST170 hubs. So the swap can literally take you a day. If you had the bits, it would take you a day. And if you had that ECU, it would take you 2 days. 2 days, and you could have standard you could have standard 180 brake horsepower in the Mark 1 Focus, and that's fun enough. But I've gone beyond and above what most people would do with a Fiesta ST180, never mind a Focus. So 320 brake in this, trust me guys, is fucking insane. The car weighs 1.1 ton, and it's insane. So, power to weight, you're probably looking at about 280 brake here, something like that. But yeah, it could go more. I could go more. There's no reason for me not to go more. But honestly, 320 brake feels ballistic in this thing, and the cornering from the handling from the original, the car that I've got, is mental. I've just reminded myself, actually, the front suspension, it's a bit late now because you probably turned off, but the front suspension is actually still FK. It did order gas, but it took nearly 12 weeks to come. I was supposed to get them for Silverstone. That didn't work. I was supposed to get them for Brands. That didn't work. So I'm seriously considering going a different route with that. But yeah, I've still got FK suspension, and the car handles amazing. So I can only imagine what it feels like with proper suspension at the front. But yeah, as I say, it is what it is. The car is fast in a straight line, and it handles amazingly with the gripper diff and the suspension setup I've got and the Geo that I've got at the minute. So it can only get better. I'm going to Cadwell on the 26th of May. I'm going to Cadwell on the 2nd of May with Modified Live, because I want to see all the Time Attack boys go around. But I'm not on track there. I'm only there to show the car. But I'm also going on track on the 26th of May. Hopefully, fingers crossed by then, I should have my front suspension set up. But I want to be getting into the 30s at Cadwell. I really, really do. It's my dream. It's what I built the car for. Imagine a Ford Focus Estate going 1-minute 30s around Cadwell. It's insane. You don't think of doing that. So it is my dream. I do want to do it. It is a life goal of mine to get that. Once I've got that, I'll be more than happy with the car. But I think it will do it now. But as I say, rambling on. I don't want to ramble on too much because I know it's a nice day at the minute and you want to crack on. But thank you for watching.